2 retrenchments at 28.
Wait, what?
And 2 failed relationships. It all seemed so beep meaningless. Hi guys! Welcome back to another episode of Zula Reacts. In the past, the stories we react to are always on the spicier side, I would say. But today we have something a little bit different.
Yeah, so for today we'll be like sharing about stories like being part of the rat race in, here in Singapore lah.
Correct. So, I think you've been in Singapore quite a while, right? Wow, what a flex!
6 years.
Wow.
6 years in total, and I think it's the same time I've been in TSL as well. Even though TSL is my first job in Singapore,
Right.
I've worked 2 companies before this lah, way back in the Philippines, and I was in a toxic industry. Yeah, it's a construction industry lah, and I was working as an architect lah. So,
Tea. But for today, we will delve into some hopefully not too sad or angering stories about work life in Singapore. As you guys know, it's notoriously stressful. But I think maybe we can find comfort in that because we know we're not suffering alone.
correct.
And to accompany our tea spilling, once again we have Fuze Tea here with us. So the flavors we have for today are peach mint tea, she's fabulous, as well as the classic iced lemon tea. So both of them have no added preservatives and are reduced sugar. We stand that.
So for today, I'm trying a new different flavor, which is the classic iced
Oh my
lemon
God, I
tea,
love it a lot,
which is like
eh.
both refreshing and tangy. I love
Yummy.
that.
Fun fact, after our shoot, right, my husband go and buy, and then he was messaging me saying like, it's delicious, I love peach, I love mint.
Okay, but aside from the peach mint tea and the iced lemon tea, they also have lychee rose tea, jasmine green tea, mango green tea, and passion fruit tea.
Before we jump into the stories, how about we disconnect for 5 minutes and pretend we're on the beach, sitting there with 2 ice cold bottles of Fuze Tea. Ooh.
The wind is blowing. You can hear the sea breeze. The weather's a little sunny, and you slowly reach out to your bottle of Fuze Tea in the cooler, and you're slowly removing the bottle cap. Pouring it into a glass of ice. And as you sipped on the iced tea, I was reminded of how hard I worked this year. So this was a 5 minutes break that very much needed.
I realized that what I cannot tahan is the very artificial peach taste. So that has traumatized me from other peach flavored things. This is not that. It's very naturally fruity and it's quite delicate. So I love the mint aftertaste that comes through as well. Very cooling on the
Love it.
throat.
Yeah, okay, so now let's come back to reality. And let's go back to the show, guys.
Hopefully it won't be a nightmare. Ah!
So Renae, before we start, let's decide on our emoji to use for today's stories.
Ooh.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Let's use teacups.
Oh, the one with got the smoke coming out.
Right.
Oh, I love that. It always brings me soothing vibes.
Right, and also maybe like today got more tea to be spilled from our stories. Okay. Story number 1.
What on
Yes, I
You
need
purposely, he always chopping the short stories one. Alright, story number 1, we're kicking things off on a high note. Somebody said, anyone just pack their bags and quit their jobs to travel the world?
I've heard people actually have done this and they never regret.
Singaporean.
Yes.
It has come to my awareness that many young people no longer find the idea of chasing for $1 million shoebox to buy as a home, shade, owning cars or settling down as something very appealing simply because it's starting to become unattainable no matter how prestigious your degree is or how hard you work. White-collar jobs are a lie, an endless soul-selling struggle for so little at the end of the day. Wow, very harsh. I always admire the tenacity and bravery to do something like that because I've fallen into the narrative of chasing all that and after 2 retrenchments at 28
What?
and 2 failed relationships, it all seemed so meaningless.
No, this is Zula, you can say.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So much for the rigorous education years that robbed my childhood, and the false belief of meritocracy comes biting my ass once that's done and over. Oh my god, I feel so bad for this person. They've really been through it. I've known friends who only do contract jobs just so they can travel and explore the world, learn a thing or two about the human experience, and meeting people from all over the world. Do you yourself, or know any friends, who just quit and go? What did they do when they come back? How long did they travel for? Is it really the end of the world if Singaporeans just take a break? The only thing stopping me from doing this is having a resume gap because I know how relentless Singapore HR will grill me for it. My parents always believe I'll come back becoming poor and I'll be one of those old lonely people who had to sleep in the streets if I don't build a successful career for myself. But I've been feeling this perpetual dread for a while now. Even my therapist encouraged me to do it. I'm just really afraid I'll never come around to it when I eventually have to come back and make money again. Additionally, I don't plan on having children, and I'm perfectly happy living with my parents if I'm not married. I do not have a concrete desire to stay in Singapore forever, and will jump on the opportunity to leave if I can. Had some savings and plan to travel to South America and then start making my way across to Europe and eventually back to Asia. Probably on low budget before I have to come back to work again. Just feels like my youth and prime years are rotting away each day I'm here going through the motions. Have y'all heard about the Rat Experiment Universe 25? What's that?
Very sad, right?
Oh,
It's very sad. But I would say like this is actually a reality in Asia. But for this guy, he's 28. You just got the job that you wanted. Or
supposed to hit some sort of milestone.
Correct, yeah. But then you got retrenched twice.
And then 2 failed relationships. Wow.
That's why he or she is going for therapy. So like if you can see, right, I mean I've been friends with people who actually are doing part-time jobs or like contract work. And when I say these people, it's like they are like 28, 29
Right.
and friends with people who are actually working full-time in like bigger companies, especially in finance and tech, right?
Damn.
But those people who works in contract or part-time jobs, yes, they're not earning a lot. They might be just earning just nice for themselves. They are happy with it because they can travel anytime they
The
want.
freedom.
So they say like, oh, so how can you travel like very often if you are in this job? They say like, when you travel, you don't need to splurge, ma.
When you don't have as much freedom to do things like travel whenever you want, what you get in return is stability. Like, you don't have to stress that you won't get money in your bank account at the end of the month.
And always have the fallback of like even like a few $1,000s. So actually when you go back, you can survive for like at least like 1 to 2 months while looking for a new job lah. Second is go for it if you have the first one. Because right, traveling when you're older is not the same when you're traveling when you're younger. I think the amount of connections and people and culture that you will see outside the world is like for me is non-tradable. I've really learned a lot about like culture and all this stuff, and sometimes it also make me feel like, well, actually it's kind of like nice to move here. 1, 2, 3, go. 3.
I rate it a bit higher because of the personal situations, and I'm fortunate enough not to have gone through retrenchment.
Right,
I think
right.
it's really a very tough situation to be in, and this person has been through 2.
Twice, yeah.
But you're very strong, 加油.
加油, please keep going to your therapist if you need help, okay? Okay, so next on our story number 2, entitled How Do People Stay at Jobs So Long? For some context, I am ambitious at work, put in a lot of effort and really enjoy what I do. I graduated 3 years ago and I've grown very fast since then and worked in 3 different organizations. I wasn't actually unhappy at these places. These were really good workplaces with good bosses. My bosses support my growth, give me everything I need to succeed. However, at all these places, sometime at the 1 year mark, I start to feel like I had grown to the size of the room. I see job postings on LinkedIn that possibly pay better and think to myself that maybe I can do better, go to bigger places and work with brighter minds. I wanted to experience different industries and meet and work with newer people. And really it worked out. And I managed to get quite a juicy pay bump to each time I jump. Wow.
Slay, honestly.
Now I'm reaching the 1 year mark at my current place and I'm starting to feel the same again. I'm starting to look outward at better opportunities, maybe overseas if possible. But I've also told myself that I should stay where I am at least for 3 years so that my resume doesn't look too hoppy. I'm struggling to wait so long because I keep thinking about all the possibly wonderful opportunities out there that I'm missing out on. I really like my current place as I have good management, salary, perks and all, but I can't help but keep thinking about more. I really don't know how people could stay at one place for so long. My dad worked at the same place for 24 years. Don't you get bored seeing the same faces for so long? Don't you get bored working in the same industry, the same routine in the same country? I believe that careers can be diverse and enriching too, adding a lot of interesting flavor to life. But anything more than 2 years feels so stale. Renae and I have been to TSL for 6 years. I ask you first, what made you stay?
People. Oh my god!
Right.
Emotional. TSL is my first proper grown-up job, but I've been through many part-time jobs throughout my youth, and that's the stage of life where I learned that it doesn't matter what is the job that I'm doing. If there are shitty people around me, I will absolutely dread going to work every day.
There's no perfect job.
Yeah, for sure.
There's always and always be stress and toxic people around. Job hopping. Before, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, it's very normal. Like everyone just 1 year go to another job because you know what? Pay bump. And this is a very common thing before. But nowadays, I've heard people are staying longer in their jobs because I think not just stability in pay, but mental health wise as well.
Right.
If they feel that they are in a good headspace in a company, right, they wouldn't trade it for money. Because as what you've said, people matters. Whoever you work with matters a lot. If you everyday get 10k, right, but you always get this politics in the office everyday, toxic, you go home also you dream about it, right?
It's true.
No, I experienced it before.
Oh my god. I think it's more of their yearning for self-improvement, which I feel like you don't necessarily have to jump ship. This could be a conversation that you have with management. Maybe tell them okay, I feel like I've learned all that I can in my job scope. Can I do something else? Even in TSL, we have people who bounce from department to department.
I'm one of them.
Some even create their own. They form a little initiative.
1, 2, 3.
One.
Two. Yeah, it's just like that. I think this is more of a personal problem. It's just her personal choice already.
Oh yeah, fun fact. I don't know if Enneagram is very common, but personality type, right? Other than MBTI, horoscope, blah, blah. Just take the quiz and see what type of person you are, and then you can actually use it to plan your career progression.
Okay. Next, before we go to the next story, I
want to have a
sip because my throat is getting so dry.
It was calling out to me. Okay, ending with a bang. To what extent would you be content with daily life in Singapore more? If we had European work culture / annual leaves. Oh,
interesting.
You know about European work culture?
Yeah.
Illegal to send email after work hours. I love that. For context, I'm a uni student and was thinking recently about why I am dreading entering the workforce soon. Especially when I don't necessarily dislike the course that I'm studying, nor the career path that I am headed towards. Nor do I have a strong dislike of life in Singapore, where to some extent we are one of the more livable modern cities, minus the heat. But the one thing I dislike is the little room there is for exploring hobbies, exploring interests, and exploring the world. Growing up, the only thing that was important was grades. And as adults, money is the biggest priority. I'm generalizing. I've recently been acquainted with some exchange students, and the way they describe their life experiences feels like they've done 3 times more things than me in the same amount of time, while accomplishing the same thing, as in eventually getting a degree and a job they enjoy, but with way more annual leaves and less OT culture.
Then I thought about working or migrating overseas, which comes with so many logistical and relational issues, like assimilating to a new culture, being away from close friends and family, having to accommodate a significant other and children, etc., etc. This got me thinking about whether the only thing holding me back from truly enjoying spending the rest of my life in Singapore is just the ability to have more time away from work, i.e. Like more annual leaves and working hours being respected? Could working adults share some thoughts, or am I just being too idealistic? When I'm on leave, I don't open my message whatever, so don't expect me to reply. And they cannot say, walao, they cannot. It's my leave, okay? It's my right. So what I've heard in Singapore is that if you join like international companies, they actually still have the Singaporean work culture, but they get more leave. Yeah, so this is like the Asian culture that we have. It's like every time you are expected to be productive, you know. Once you take a break, they'll be like, what are you doing? What are you just like chilling?
You lazy sack of shit.
Yeah, but with Western people, with Western culture, they actually can afford to take breaks, but at the same time can still be productive.
Yeah.
So like in a way, I'm just thinking, right, why these things cannot be actually implemented for the Asian
Oh my god.
culture
Food for
as well.
thought.
Right. You are putting all your 100, 200% in everything you do, right? Then your parents still sees you as a disappointment.
This got a bit personal.
If you really want to actually experience this, I suggest, right,
You ask them to go overseas.
after you go uni, just take 2 to 3 years in Singapore to work, you know, locally to get that experience, right? Then you apply for overseas countries lah. Then you see, then you will have the chance to compare, like, is it
See the
like
world.
worth the trade-off and all these things? Is it worth living in Singapore and all these things lah?
I think for the job seeking process in Singapore, be very sure to align your expectations. So if you have certain like absolute no-nos, make sure to convey that.
Correct.
So that you know what you're signing up for. I can imagine how shitty things would be if my work-life balance was not respected. For example, if people message me outside of work hours and demand instant reply or that, or like keep asking me to OT, that would really be quite bad. So
Yeah, so I feel like if the OP is asking to what extent would you be content with daily life in Singapore, right? It really depends on you lah.
Yeah.
You know, depends on the job that you are in. Do you enjoy it? Are you okay with it? Are you working with the right people? Second, do you have time to do all the things that you like outside of work, and you spend your time with your loved ones and like still enjoy life like one way or another lah. So if you actually feel that you are checking all these boxes, and you have maybe a good or like decent pay also, maybe it affects as well, then I think that's enough lah. It's really like what you look for life. Yeah, same rate as the previous story. I feel like both are really based on your personal stuff already. I don't like it, really your own choice, your own experience.
if they are in a very shitty situation, they should work to get out of it and recognize that, okay, this is not working for me, rather than trying to still deal with it even though they already know it's a no-no.
Okay, so that's the end of our stories for today's episode. Can I ask you, Renae, what is the most relatable story for you?
Wow, the one that really had me riled up was the first one.
Okay.
It took me on an emotional journey.
I think for me, I would agree with you. It's the first story as well. So how I see our stories today is like, the story 3 is me when I was in uni. Story 2 is when I joined the workforce.
Right.
You know, I joined the workforce and like trying to find the right job for me. And now I think I'm story number 1. I'm kind of like in that, slowly going into that phase in life that like can I just like sometimes just pack my bags and quit my job and just go travel the world and just live the life that I have always wanted, like just to be a globetrotter. You know, just, do you have any advice, like, you know, to those people who are feeling the same way?
Throughout the years, there have been many times where I question whether like, okay, have I been staying here too long? After reflection, it really does boil down to you. You can listen to all this external advice, but my job brings me fulfillment. The people are lovely, and I can live within my means, so I wouldn't be too greedy beyond that.
And make sure that you work hard and work smart as well. And always think that at the end of the day, right, as much as we work for companies, you also think of yourself first. Okay? You are a human being.
God.
No amount of work, time, or like energy you dedicate in the company will go back to you when you fall sick.
I think it's very important to factor in like everyone has their own timeline, everyone has their own life journey. So you might not relate to certain things like, okay, maybe you don't want to get a house and get married and have kids. Yeah, and no need to compare the age. It's not a fight, babe.
Thank you for watching this episode of Zula Reacts.
Let us know in the comments below what other topics we should discuss.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Don't be toxic.
Just drink Fuze Tea.
Yes, no toxicity, only Fuze Tea.
You said that in the previous episode.
Are you serious?
I tell you already, it's gonna be the
Wait,
tagline
are you
already.
being serious?